And welcome back to another episode of What Drives Us, number 143 for June 10th, 2015. My name is still Russell Frost. I am your host for this evening. My wonderful co-host is unfortunately a little under the weather today, so we're going to wish him the best, thank him for his last-minute technical support, and continue on bravely with three fingers, three amazing panelists. In no particular order.
I didn't realize his wife's name was the Weather.
Oh, you did see Jimmy Buffett this week, didn't you? Because it's still in your system, isn't it?
It is.
You know, more power to you, my brother. More power to you. Can you do the shark fin thing for me? Thank you. You had to see Evan in like the Aloha shirt and the grass. You know, you didn't have a grass skirt on. You have a grass skirt on?
I skipped the grass skirt.
Skipped the grass skirt, but I
did have the bucket hat though.
Yes, you had the bucket hat. You had the funny glasses. You were ready to go. And by the way, the guy in orange, who's not really orange, but he's orange, that's Dr. Evan Fusco.
Hey everybody, drinking a little Young's double chocolate stout tonight, and it's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
I've never had that, but I think between that and the Buffett show, you're ready to go this week.
I am.
I'm looking forward to that. And again, in no particular order, our man high in the mountains in Colorado, his name is Paul Guzik.
Hey everybody, well, I'm in the mountains, I'm not high. Just because I'm in Colorado doesn't mean I'm high.
He's not at a Jimmy Buffett concert.
But I am indulging in a Polestar Pilsner from the fabulous Left Hand Brewing Company about 10 miles from here. So, good day, gentlemen.
Good day. It is legal in Colorado, so you weren't like admitting to something that was bad.
No, but you know.
But you're not. I understand.
Everybody assumes everybody in Colorado's high.
Well, right? I mean, I thought that's not the way the law works. You don't have to be high. You just can be high.
Right.
That's a different law, yeah.
I get confused. In California, we screw these things up.
Well, side note, as you may have heard, that industry is not allowed to use the banks. So anybody in that industry has to pay all of their staff, their vendors, their taxes with cash. And occasionally we get people coming in with a large repair bill on their car and paying in stinky $20 bills. But hey, it's money. We'll take it.
Absolutely. Cash? The IRS is just like, come on.
Lots of cash.
Come on, we need something traceable here, kids. Yeah. You would think. So, and last but not least, our man in the Pacific Northwest. His name is Patrick Connor.
Hello from Oregon, where our governor just signed House Bill 2625. That means that if a spot has been iced, you will receive a $250 fine now.
Ooh,
awesome.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to be enforced in areas that don't have parking enforcement normally, but it's great that it's statewide. At least we can do something about it, I guess.
There you go. There you go. Well, I think we have a show tonight. So let's get started. 2-minute topics. Patrick, why don't you lead off, sir?
Sure. So mine is a story on autoblog.com, and it's titled, Lutz Takes Another Swipe at Tesla. So he was on CNBC, and I find it ironic that the only way he can get any press is to be slamming Tesla. So it's not that I'm actually doing anything myself. I'm just trash talking, and Tesla is good press. So if you have someone up there bashing them, it gets lots of hits, and here I am encouraging them. So sorry, everybody. So in the video, Lutz is speaking his mind about he's bashing on the Powerwall, saying that if you have stationary batteries, there's no reason for those to be lithium. You should be using lead acid because it's a lot cheaper per kilowatt hour. And let's talk about that one for a second. You can't do the really cool wall-mounted unit that doesn't take up half of your garage if you're doing lead acid. I mean, if you're not doing lithium or something modern and dense like that. So you're not going to get the built-in battery management. You're not going to get something that works with your solar system real easily and already has an integrated DC to DC converter. It's going to be a whole lot more work if you just go try to buy a bunch of lead-acid batteries and engineer battery management yourself and everything to integrate it. So he's also not looking at the fact.
Not to mention, you'll have to reinforce the wall so it won't fall over with all the lead on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then lead just a little toxic, unlike lithium that is not at all toxic. And he's also not looking at, okay, they're making a massive battery factory. Why wouldn't they be looking for more avenues to sell these in? So that gives you more economies of scale. That makes it cheaper on both sides. So I don't know. I think Lutz is just looking for ways to take shots at Tesla.
I'm sorry. Is Bob Lutz still alive? I swear, really, I swear we did an obit on him 2 years ago. Maximum Bob, the man with the V12 Cadillac, rears up on his hind legs and blurts out some crap. Ay, ay, ay. You know, can I just here's like my. This is all I'm going to say about this, and I'll let Evan and Paul take the shot at Yada.
Don't hold back.
But the only reason Bob Lutz is smacking Tesla instead of shilling for them is because they haven't sent him a check lately. Okay, the only thing Lutz has done in his entire career is shill for things. He ran GM into the ground, so he's the last person who should be talking about stock prices.
Did he ever actually have the reins at GM? I mean, I know he was certainly an executive high level, but and he ran major parts of their car company, but I don't think he major parts of their business, but I don't think he ever actually was CEO. But you're right. He's talking about Tesla stock is overvalued and going to go down. Okay, yeah, you're the last guy that should be giving that advice.
Yeah, exactly. He is speaking from experience. He's got that going for him. Yeah, his comments were just so wacky. I mean, he talked about the Gigafactory and how he was sure that was going to be unsuccessful despite economies of scale. There was really almost nothing he said that made any practical sense that I've seen anybody agree with. It was really ridiculous.
Yeah, he seemed to think that any other car company could just buy their way into that battery tech and catch up with Tesla in a heartbeat.
Right.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
It shows a clear lack of understanding of the technology, and because what Tesla's done is really been some major advancements to be able to make those batteries so reliable in an automotive application, and that's a transition very few others have been able to make, and none as successfully.
Yeah, and you combine that with all the other innovations that Tesla has with the autonomous cars or autopilot, and yeah, there's a whole lot of really cool stuff they're doing.
Come on, Paul. Come on.
Well, there's the Chevy Sonic. That's really cool. Bob Lutz had something to do with that, probably.
Probably, yeah.
As much as we're bashing Lutz, he was a major force behind the Volt, and that is a really cool car. So let's give him that.
He was the major force behind the Volt when it was a pile of hot BS.
Well, the
Volt actually turned into a real product and a real car. It looked completely different. It was a different vehicle entirely.
Right, but you still need that cheerleader within the company to push something like that to make it happen. And without executive support, that would have never been so.
But he was out of the company in 2009? I think I just read he was out of GM. He was in GM for 8 years between 01 and 09, which means he wasn't even there when they rolled out the real Volt.
In 2011, yeah.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have got that far if he hadn't pushed for that concept and got that excitement within the company.
He's sending you a check. The truth.
He's a jerk. But the Volt is cool. That's all I wanted to say.
Just a classic example of an executive that shouldn't. I mean, obviously some dipshit on CNBC said, "Let's have Bob Lutz on," or Bob Lutz's PR person called CNBC. Hey, Bob's free. You want to talk to Bob? He'll talk shit about Elon Musk. And the CNBC booker wet their pants and said, "Yeah, he'll piss off Elon Musk." There. Okay, enough. Evan, you're going to bring sanity back to the 2-minute news topics, aren't you?
A little bit of sanity. You know, it's Elon Musk involved, so it can't be completely sane.
He is a Tesla owner. What would you expect?
So I'm going to talk just a little bit. The 2015 Tesla shareholders meeting was yesterday afternoon, and as usual, it's always entertaining, and it's part show and part business. But several little tidbits came out. Really no huge announcements out of it. They did mention that they've made some changes to the Powerwall, mainly in the structure. There's apparently more parallel components than there were. It was mostly a serial alignment of the structure or something. Don't ask me the technical aspects, but it's supposed to significantly increase the output, and they're not going to increase the price on it. Sounds like the Model X will be out in 3 to 4 months, and by that they will probably roll out about 10 units. So it's probably going to be end of the year before we start seeing any significant production to those of us who have been waiting for a long time to get our Model X to come out. But he's assured everyone that it's going to have a 5-star safety rating and very low rollover likelihood. All the things we expect from what we've seen in the Model S will transition into the Model X as far as safety features. It sounds like the autopilot features are going to be significantly enhanced in that as well. And he actually mentioned he has been out test driving, like for his primary vehicle, a Mule Model X with autopilot in it, including auto steering, which is kind of interesting that this billionaire is out there like test piloting on California highways. But I guess I guess he believes in his product.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Model 3 gave a little tidbit that the dual motor will be an option, but not standard. The new 70D is comprising about a third of all Model S sales already, which is pretty impressive. I mean, the 70D is a really excellent deal considering it's only about 10 to 15 miles less range than the 85, and priced under it and faster than the standard 85, the single motor 85 kilowatt vehicle. So obviously people are noticing that and feel like they're able to get into a Model S cheaper than they would have been previously and still get great range out of it. And then another cool tidbit, no pun intended, is they're going to now be liquid cooling the supercharger cables and the newer superchargers that are coming out. And though they didn't come out and say it, certainly the speculation is that that's going to allow even faster charge rates by keeping the cable cool. It'll decrease the diameter and hopefully allow an increase in length of the cables as well, because right now they're all fairly short and a little bit difficult to maneuver. Let's see. Oh, they're hoping to transition to all of the superchargers at some point in the future, either being solar powered or at least using an energy source that's renewable for all of them. And then there was a whole group of crazy PETA people that took up a ton of time demanding that Tesla have non-leather seats in all their vehicles. And it was really annoying, and there's a huge long thread of pretty much 2 people that are trolling this topic all over the Tesla Motors website. So,
can I just say how much I love leather seats?
Yeah, amen. And it's ridiculous
too.
I do too, but it's just ridiculous to try. Here you have this, infant company trying to make their place in the world, and now you're going to tell them, yeah, but don't sell leather because that'll only cut out about 50% of your buying market right now. It's ridiculous. Now, I do think there should be an option, and if they're really behind what they want to, make the world green a better place, and it's a nice little token gesture to have that as an option. But I suspect they've looked into it, and the market just isn't there to make it worthwhile.
My understanding was
Corinthian leather.
Exactly.
My understanding was that early on in some of the high-end packages, leather was all you could get, and there were a whole lot of buyers saying we don't want leather, and so they had to change their packages to allow you to not have leather even in the highest end offerings, which is good. You get to pick.
the Performance was only available with leather interior, and actually that got changed by Leilani Munter after she made a presentation and was buying her car. And she's a well-known vegan race car driver. For those of you that are not familiar, who also owns a Tesla and has been a proponent of Tesla, but she couldn't get the car she wanted without leather, and she actually pretty much single-handedly got them to make the textile interior an option and allow for a vegan friendly option for the Performance model. So they're willing to change, and and I think they will. But man, it's got to be about the smallest fish in the pan that they're trying to fry right now.
I agree. Yeah. So if somebody doesn't want leather, here's an option where they don't have to get it. And if they do want leather and Tesla doesn't offer it, they're just going to go buy it aftermarket. So what did they accomplish by not offering it?
Right.
Speaking as a vegetarian. Oh, and you mentioned Leilani Munter. If you guys don't follow her on Facebook, she's pretty cool. In fact, she just posted something today. She was getting coal rolled. Someone in a diesel truck, and she's got a picture of herself flipping them the bird, which is just awesome.
And she's easy on the eyes.
Not arguing with you. Oh, that liquid-cooled cable. That is just cool.
Yeah, isn't it?
It does a little. It's not needlessly.
No, like Evan mentioned. Elon Musk said it makes the cable thinner and supple. I found that to be an interesting choice of adjectives to use.
Okay.
But you have to. They're pushing a whole lot of juice through those cables already, and they do get pretty hot. And so it probably makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. If they want to have. Obviously, Tesla's going to continue to improve things, and they're at a point where they were limited by the engineering of the cable, so they have to come up with a better solution. And putting more heatsink and shielding and everything on there to just make it heavier and thicker, and that's not the right way to go. So they're doing this, which is pretty cool.
Well, there you go. Okay, and with that, the final 2-minute news topic. Mr. Guzik.
Well, mine will be quick. It's just it's not directly related to EVs, but something I read today. As many people know, in many cities in America, people are riding bicycles again. And in Denver, they've installed bike detectors that will help change the lights when you approach the intersection. So I posted a link here. Hopefully someone can get it into the thing. But so as you drive up on your bike, rather than having to go press the pedestrian button for the light to change green, you drive over a certain spot and the light will turn in your favor. So screw the cars and good for the bikes.
Awesome.
That's cool. Hey, on that same bike topic, actually, I'm looking at something Tony just posted a little while ago, that the feds jump on board and protected bike lanes are now an official federal policy.
Yeah.
And Faraday announced there's a new e-bike that they're coming out with that's $700 less than their previous e-bike. So, and
There
if you're not
you go.
on Faraday e-bikes, they're gorgeous.
E-bikes are fun. You feel like Superman when you ride them.
I wouldn't mind my Superman once in a while. I really wouldn't. Yeah, it'd be good. And like I said, the Faradays are just they're so beautifully built. They have like bamboo bumpers and they're just pretty.
Bamboo bumpers?
Yeah, they're gorgeous, dude.
Well, and if you commute, you get to work and you're not all stinky and sweaty, but you feel like you did some exercise.
I rode my bike.
Right? You're still getting a core workout.
Pretended to pedal a little bit,
I just kept the charge on the headlight going. That's it. That throttle was cracked all the way.
Well, yeah, you can ride as little or as much as you want in a lot of e-bikes. You can bump the assist from 100% down to 0 if you want. Or on mine, you can even go negative if you want to make it harder.
Why would you do that?
If you want to get that, which I've never done. But
if you're paying for a gym, maybe you'd ride in that mode,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's why people go to spin class. They don't get very far.
I don't get that. Or they go to ride the fake bike at the gym. Like, Go out in the sun, it's okay. And get run over by a car. Hey, speaking of cars, because we talk a lot about cars on this show, we also talk a lot about car dealers. And if you've ever heard me talk about car dealers, most of the time you see this face.
Oh, look at that segue. That was awesome.
Thank you. I've worked with Danny Cooper now for 5 years on this show, and I'm picking it up. Not very
Well done, sir. Well done.
So I found an interesting little thing at Consumer Reports this last week that says that Costco, yes, the place with the 5-gallon tub of mayonnaise, Costco become a leading American car seller. They sold 400,000 cars last year.
It's amazing.
Amazing, but it's not amazing. It's really obvious. And does anyone want to guess, if you haven't read the story yet, why Costco was so successful in selling cars?
They're
Does it
cheaper.
take the greasy salesperson is out of the picture?
They sold them by the pallet load?
You had to buy two. They're all
Correct.
I like that. I like that idea. No, I mean, Paul, obviously, I mean, the greasy salespeople are out of it. It's a non-negotiable discounted price,
Right.
and Costco uses its buying power to get these cars from an auto buying service called the Affinity Auto Group. So they get a good price. They don't have to put up with the obnoxious people at the franchise dealer, and they get a car.
Right.
Another nail in the coffin that really won't ever be used because franchise dealers have the force of law behind them.
When Best Buy started selling electric bikes and electric scooters, and then they were going to even, there was some talk that they might be selling Apteras. We talked about those a while back. It would have been. It would have been interesting. Yeah, it would have been interesting if they had continued to go along those lines of selling little-known brands and used this new upcoming EV market to break into selling those vehicles.
Yeah.
Go get your car worked on by the Geek Squad.
It's funny that the Best Buy thing, they were just about like 3 years ahead of their time.
Yeah.
You know, if they had started that whole program of like having charging spots and selling electric vehicles and whatnot, like 3 years later, it might have worked for them. But they were way ahead of everybody else, to their credit, and the program died, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So there was some, again, being a designated Tesla rep, there some speculation that Tesla could potentially jump onto the Costco market as well. Now, I'm not quite sure why they would do that, other than just having them visible, but it might be a good way for them to launch their consumer-priced vehicle and get it out to a lot more places.
Sure. I mean, obviously, Costco's going to want to leverage some sort of discount where it's cheaper at their place than than at a Tesla dealer. So that would probably kill the Tesla deal. But the interesting, at the end of the article, it says that Costco actually isn't making any money on this. It's
Really?
the company that's making money, and I'm sure there's like some little kickback or something. But again, this is just a service. They're passing money through their system, and people, their members are happier, and that's good for their business.
Yeah, they had awesome deals on both the Fiat 500 and the Smart ED at the local Costco's here. They had great lease deals, and they would have this car right there in the middle of the store when you walk in. Hey, what's that? Nice little cars. I can just drive them in there and show them off.
Those carts are about big enough for those cars, too.
Throw it on a pallet.
I just see somebody trying to balance a birthday cake on top of a 500E on top of one of the orange carts.
Yeah.
With 50 gallons of mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Well, and there's 3 cases of Diet Coke.
Exactly. Oh, we need a 50-pound bag of rice. That'll hold the birthday cake in place. Yeah. Can you get the rice on top?
On the passenger seat.
I love Costco.
Where's the barcode on this damn thing?
Yeah, you
It's
got
on
to
the
turn
bottom.
it upside down.
6 guys come over and pick up the Fiat and roll it over.
Yeah.
There it is. Beep. Okay.
Buy a car and you get to fill it up with groceries for free and drive it out.
Ooh, I like that. Ooh.
Yay. Well, good for them. Anything that helps kill the traditional dealer program in America is good for the consumer, as far as I'm concerned. And, so good for Costco. And they're a good company.
Costco was big supporters of EVs during the 90s, the phase of electric vehicles. A lot of their stores in California had chargers back when they were the paddle induction chargers. So there have been people trying to push them to replace all those with modern charging stations, and they're not quite as on board as they were in the 90s, and to some people's disappointment.
Yeah. My Costco has a horse barn.
Has a what?
No way.
Yeah.
You can get your horse shoed there while you're buying mayonnaise.
Where am I?
Oh, Amish town.
Amish town. There is always 2 or 3 buggies in the barn, right by the front door, because they get nice parts.
Because they need mayonnaise too.
They walk out, man. They will. I mean, there's like 4 kids take 10 minutes to load the buggy full of all the stuff they buy. They're stocking up, believe me. So yeah, big. I mean, and the store is out at the edge of town, so it's right in between the city and Amish country. I mean, they can all get to it very, very easily. So yeah, we actually my Costco parking lot smells like horse poop often. But hey, it's renewable, I guess. So
That's right.
let's move on. Talking about
We should get Toyota to go to the Costco and scoop up the horse poop and make hydrogen to run the hydrogen.
Yeah.
right here with a little chemistry kit.
Yeah.
Tie that in with our earlier story. If it was, if you have leather seats in a Mirai, could you also have the cow poop powering it, and you're sitting on the cow?
At that point, you should just saddle up a cow.
No kidding.
Why process the poor animal? Just ride it, damn.
There's your leather seats, nice and fresh.
Exactly. I mean, it's not that you shampoo a cow; they don't move very fast. Get down.
We've solved all sustainable transportation right there.
Everybody gets a
Cows
cow.
and horses.
Absolutely. Everybody leather
You get a
seat.
cow. You get a cow.
Russell for president.
Thank you. Well, before you elect me, let me place the other shiv in the back. Franchise car dealers. Green Car Reports last week, or excuse me, on Monday, had put up a story that I thought was kind of quaint, and it sort of goes along with the previous one. The headline of which is, and I quote, "High volume Chevy Volt dealer, how to sell successfully, lessons learned." Would anyone like to guess what the #1 way to be a successful Chevy Volt dealer is?
Know what
Educate
you're
your
selling.
people. Yeah. And
Don't
have
have them
cars
direct
on the
people.
lot for people
Yeah.
to drive that are charged.
Don't direct them to buy a Chevy Cruze.
That's the winner right there. Basically, when people come up and say they want to buy a Volt, don't sell them something else. That's the main takeaway from this article is basically these people didn't piss off EV or hybrid buyers when they came into their dealer, and they sold a buttload of Volts.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have a personal story about that. I have a friend in Berkeley who wanted to buy a Volt. He went to the closest Chevy dealer, which is Chevy of Oakland, and I went with him, and he said, "I'd like to drive a Volt." And they go, "Well, we have one over there, but it's not plugged in because we don't have a place to plug it in, so you can drive it as a gas car." And the salesperson knew absolutely nothing about it, and we just ended up walking out of the place. He ended up going online, finding a high-volume Chevy Volt dealer in Southern California, called him up on the phone. The guy was helpful, said he'd beat the price by $1,500. He'd pick him up at the airport. So guess what? He flew down on Southwest, picked up the car in Southern California, and drove it home. Had a great experience. And the local dealer was a bozo. So,
Wow.
Well, I think the takeaway is you just need to not be stupid. You know,
You have to train your staff.
That's a news story.
you know,
It's so rare in good dealerships that it's news.
Hang on, is that an Onion article? Car salespeople, don't be stupid.
right? I mean, the story is actually really nice, and I actually took away a positive from it in that. At least there's somebody out there talking to other dealers and saying, here's some tips, because there's probably a lot of intimidation, and the volume of sales of these makes it such that they probably don't want to take the energy to educate themselves and all their staff. But for somebody to come and say, here, we did it, we were successful, and this is how we did it, I took that away as a positive, so that at least they're passing on that information and saying you can be successful too. But what they had their salespeople drive the car for 2 weeks, drove an Evolt for 2 weeks before they were allowed to sell it. That's brilliant. They're going to become familiar with it. They're going to get used to it. They're going to figure out the quirks. They're going to be able to speak about it intelligently and with some experience instead of what they learned at a 2-hour education session about the car and forgot everything because they were, too busy playing on their iPhones. And I think it's great. And then they let people take these extended test drives. They really accommodate the customers, and
and they plug them in when they're sitting there.
Right. Then surprise, people actually wanted to buy them. Imagine that. Anybody that's driven an EV loves it, and all you got to do is give people the opportunity to experience it in a positive light, and you're going to have a high chance of selling. And it's not that complicated, and there's nothing in this that, like you say, it's you just got to know what you're talking about and educate people and give them a chance to drive it, and they'll be interested.
One of the aspects in the story I liked is how the dealer noticed the transition from early adopters to early majority.
Yeah.
The people that were coming in as early adopters, the salespeople didn't need to educate them because those people were walking in knowing more than anybody else at the dealership. They'd researched it online, they'd been in chat rooms and forums and discussed it and looked up every detail. And all they were really there for is to touch it, feel it, drive it, and then buy it.
Money. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the sales guys didn't need to know jack for them, other than here's the keys and here's where you sign.
Yeah. You almost have to wonder if that might be part of the problem later on with selling the EVs.
Right.
Is that maybe those dealers were intimidated by the customers knowing so much more than they did, and
then they didn't see the market switch where they need to have that service.
Right.
Instead, they thought they could just, they'll sell themselves and we don't need to do anything. Now that's changed.
Yep.
Well said. I mean, I think the shorter of this whole thing is just don't get in the way of what your customer wants.
Yeah.
But of course, there's a spiff on the Sonic, so the salesperson's going to complain the Sonic.
Yeah.
Is that a hamburger or is that a car? Or both?
Incentives matter.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the Camry thing was very funny, Paul.
Yes.
Brilliant. Let's switch gears. We're talking about people swimming upstream and people who go with the flow, as it were. Last week, Danny and I, in our little afternoon episode where Danny and I just kind of got to ramble about stuff that we like, talked about CarPlay and Android Auto and the effect that it had, and that news story brought up something that I hadn't really even thought of before. I'm sure everybody in the panel who's much smarter than I am thought of it, but that by allowing Apple or Google to brand that center console in a vehicle, the car companies are kind of taking a back seat. They're suddenly giving up a central portion of the way the owner interacts with the vehicle and part of the things that the owner sees every time they get in the car. They're actually giving up prime territory to somebody else. So while we as users would go, well, hell yes, I want this because I have these devices and I want this to work with my car, the car companies have a little more complicated of a scenario. Business Insider, which is probably one of my least favorite sources, next to maybe BuzzFeed and the Washington Examiner. And the North Korean Times.
Such a hater.
Yeah.
Which we have actually quoted the North Korean Times on the show. Very proud of that. actually wrote a really kind of, I don't want to say it's silly, but I mean, sort of op-ed on the same thing. And basically the headline is, and I'll quote, "Apple and Google are enemies of the auto industry."
Clickbait. Come on. Now, I hear your point that they're giving up that central console space, but if that makes a better user experience for somebody who owns that car, people are going to be flocking to it.
Yeah.
And today, Google sells stuff on Samsung phones, and with Sprint carriers or whatever, and those are, you see those brands come up too. And they get the tweaks they want in there to make it work for their environment. So I don't think the car companies would be any different if they want their splash screen and they want this or that special icon or app included. They don't have to be enemies.
Right, and it's a selling, or it's a selling point. Just like when you could get a car with the Alpine stereo system, or the regular built-in no-name, whatever it was.
Alpine is an enemy of the auto industry.
Right. Yeah. I mean. It's a marketing tool, so just like with the Intune and whatever the heck Toyota uses, it's a marketing tool. I certainly don't see it as an enemy type thing that way. That said, both of these companies do have a little bit of a foot in the door of the auto industry of starting to develop their own vehicles, so there may be a little hesitation of getting in bed too close with either of those companies moving forward.
You don't really think Apple's building a car?
Don't know.
Okay, you're allowed. I just
not this year, but
No?
2020 we might be seeing something different.
I'm sure they have a group of people toying with the idea, whether or not it will actually ever happen. I mean, Apple could throw 500 engineers on a project just to play, and they wouldn't notice the money, So.
This is, I would put the Apple car right next to the Apple TV. like you can make this really interesting case, like, oh, the Apple TV, blah, game changer, yada yada, iPhone and iPad, dumb idea. Okay, it's a low margin, horrible business. And the same thing for the car. I just don't know why Apple would want to be in the car business. Now, that they might want to own the software in cars, that I get. But do they want to actually building cars?
Right. No, and I don't disagree at all. But boy, if they could develop the management firmware for an electric vehicle and sell that to major automakers, that control the autopilot,
and every entertainment system would have every song ever recorded.
Really, everybody gets the U2 album for free.
It's all in your 16 gig flash.
Yay, Mr. Carr. Nice Facebook reference. Very nice.
The Beats speaker system built in.
Oh,
Right.
Holy shit! There's pills built into the dash.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry.
No, I guess we'll see. I mean, Apple could do some neat things, but yeah, the car business is not very high margin. If they were smart, they would license their stuff to other people and integrate it, and perhaps make a better navigation system than the 2006 Toyota system.
And that would be hard, like with a chalkboard and an 8-year-old. Go this way, Daddy. Go this way.
At least that would be up to date.
Yeah, an arrow. Just shove the arrow in front of the. I've said for a long time, and we've talked about it on the show. I'm not the only one. That there are entire big, huge companies called Apple and Microsoft that do nothing but, well, they do lots of stuff, but I mean the core of their business is writing software, and even they stumble and have problems. So the idea that a car company is going to take a little team of engineers and write some really great software that's going to be awesome, it's kind of a reach. And I think it shows when you look at Intune, to pick on Toyota, just because it's one that I know. Yeah, that's just me. That's just me. So next, And finally, oh, I have to go back. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Here we go. Green Car Reports. Our friend John Volker did a little discussion about used EVs, and I think this is a fascinating subject. Which cars hold their value the best? Which is the worst? I mean, that's easy. There's a little chart here, and we'll link to it at whatdrives.us where you can see that chart. But I just wanted to run this past you guys and see whether anything that really stood out, that jumped out at you on this. Any surprises? The Tesla Model S is at the top of the list. Big surprise?
Shocker.
Not at all. It's
Actually, I'm surprised the Prius PHV is as high up as it is, though.
Surprise.
I think people are buying it because it's a Prius more so than.
I think they're buying
They're
it for
buying
the
it for a
HOV sticker.
carpool sticker. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where
That's
that's
the only reason.
right there for sure.
The Porsche Panamera?
Yeah, both of those have not lost much value.
Yeah.
Is that high? Well, I mean, it did lose 20%
Yeah.
of its value. I mean, that's 22%. That's not nothing. But yeah, it's and at that price level, it's 20 grand, 23 grand. Ouch.
Yeah.
The poor little.
It probably lost that the day they took it off the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 14 that have been sold.
So here's what, and maybe you guys can help me because I seem to be maybe a little confused here, but in the first column there's a trade-in price. That's what the dealer gives you, and the second column is what the dealer would resell the vehicle for. Is that correct?
What is so it says average TE MSRP. I don't know what the TE is. My assumption was that the second column was the retail price when it was sold. So
Wow.
if you bought it for $94,000 and now you can trade it in for $78,000.
That
Yeah,
makes
I- Yeah, I guarantee you there's no dealers reselling an IME for $24,000.
Well, that's what I was like. No, there's no way they're selling used IMEs for 24 grand. I mean, it's not going to happen.
I took that as the original sale price as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so the columns are backwards. It would have been easier to read the other way. I
Yeah.
bought it at this. I can trade it in for that. Here's what I retained,
Agreed.
or percentage decline would have been even more clear.
It would be interesting to see what the average resale price was for those cars too, so we could see the dealer margin and see that trade-in versus what the sale price was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think there'd be some interesting blips there.
They also have this as a percentage, and if instead you look at it as a dollar amount, the column's much more even in general. The comparison, the Tesla has lost like $18,000, and so's the Leaf. Percentage-wise, on a Tesla, that's a lot less. So
Right. I was just going to
it's
say
more value.
the IMEV lost almost what the Tesla Model S lost.
Right.
Wow.
That's because the Tesla poops out little iMeves as it drives.
Is that what you get in a 3-pack at Costco? Is IMEV?
It's pretty sad that the most expensive cars are the ones that retain their value the most. I mean, those are the people that have the money. They shouldn't get to, you know.
Well, I mean, the ELR kind of,
Yeah.
the ELR kind of takes it in the shorts.
Yeah, that one is out of place. If you look down the numbers, they're kind of declining, spike at the ELR, and it's
Yes, but that and the Volt are almost identical, though, percentage.
So here's the question that I wanted to ask Paul. Paul, if I want to buy a used EV, which one do you think is the best one to buy?
I think the best all-round EV for value, serviceability, availability is the Leaf. You can't go wrong. I mean, you need spare parts. They're cheap and easy because there's a billion of them out there now, and they're affordable. And the guys in Colorado here are selling them for like 14 grand after a Colorado rebate for a used Leaf.
Wow.
And what's interesting is I was talking to the owner of Green Eyed Motors, who's a dealership here in Boulder. When they first started selling used Leafs, they were getting all the EV geeks coming in and buying them. And then what happened is just regular people were coming in to buy a Honda Civic as their second or third car, a used car, and they said, well, do you realize you can get this Leaf here for $14,000 that's better equipped and doesn't need any gas and, yada, 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 and will meet your needs for an in-town commuter car. And people who didn't even think of wanting an EV are starting to buy them now, and that's really cool.
Yeah, when it's that cheap, you're willing to take a flyer
Yeah.
on it. And,
Yeah.
You know what?
And what they do is they say take it home for the evening or the weekend and see if it gets you around town, gets you to work, gets you to the grocery store, and people go, yeah, this totally works. And it's fun to drive.
Hmm.
Now,
Yeah,
if I
we've
had more
heard that
money,
story.
I'd buy a Tesla. But
Yeah, we've heard that story about how people buy these as a second car, and then it turns out to be their daily driver.
yeah.
Yep, the gas gets relegated to long trips only.
Actually, there's even in Boulder, there's a driving school here that has a Chevy Volt and a Leaf as their training vehicles for the teenagers. So they're starting them young, getting them to drink the Kool-Aid.
I like that.
Start them out in their little one-seat electric car when they're 4 years old, and just
Keep putting better batteries in it.
Yeah.
right.
I like that. I like that. Well, I like the idea of getting a Leaf. I enjoy driving it. So, and I'm thinking that when the second generation comes out, that's probably going to make the first generation priced even more attractively.
They'll be almost free.
My favorite price.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be under 10,000 pretty soon.
Wow. See, that's a hell of a deal. Under 10 grand for that car? Jeez. Not bad, not bad. Well, that, believe it or not, folks, that is our show this week. A whirlwind of news and information and opinion coming at you. No, I'm going to stop that.
Too much cheese.
You're just getting on a roll, man. Don't quit.
I was feeling it. I was feeling it. But I'm not feeling it anymore. Let's wrap things up with our shout-outs. Mr. Connor, any shout-outs for you this week, sir?
Sure. I blog at carswithcords.net, and you can check me out there. And I'm also with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. Thanks.
Nice. Mr. Fusco?
Oh, my usual TeslaMotorsClub.com for all your good Tesla information. Nice little website for those interested, and no other big shout-outs today. Glad to be on this week.
I have one shout-out on Evan's behalf. If anyone knows how to white balance Evan's camera, can you of all that is holy, please contact me? Okay?
Here, if I do this, will that change it?
I don't know, but he's gone from yellowish to deep orange, and I'm afraid next week he's going to look
there.
There.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that is. Ooh, it's kind of sickly, but it's this shirt.
And this is why
Shirt. Yeah.
you're never going to be able to do surgery. Is that blood or no water? I don't know. Just stitch them up.
Mr. Guzik, your shout-out, sir?
Just going to shout out my own business, Boulder Hybrids. Anybody in Colorado or the surrounding states that has a hybrid or an EV, we'd love to work on your car.
Absolutely. BoulderHC.com?
That's the website, yes.
Go there now. And for me, my shout-outs, I'm going to do the Danny Cooper dance since he's not here. Go to Prius Chat, the Prius Chat shop. That's priuschat.com/shop for all your Prius needs. If you have a Prius and you want accessories or cool add-ons or silly body kits or radio adapters or heat shields or mud guards or the little chrome naked lady on the mud flap.
It does not have that.
How about Yosemite Sam?
Yosemite Sam, yeah. If you want truck nuts for your Prius, Prius.com/shop and get your Prius hybrid truck nuts.
This is what Danny gets for missing the show.
Exactly. Exactly. He's going to get angry emails. Where the fuck are the truck nuts? You bastards! I've looked all over for green truck nuts.
Pry nuts?
I really never thought I would say truck nuts on this show 4 times.
They'd have
you
to be
just titled
green
it.
truck nuts, wouldn't they?
They would, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like
Fuzzy.
Chia truck nuts.
Chia.
Would be perfect. Chia truck
Oh,
nuts.
that would be perfect.
That's a horrible vision. I just don't.
I'm liking it.
I'm going to end by saying, as always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Buy some of his music on iTunes or on CD Baby. It's Michael Mannering. Thank you, Michael. Visit us at whatdrives.us. You can download the show or stream it there. You can also sign up on iTunes. If you do, subscribe. You automatically get updated. Also, maybe leave us a review. Give us a few stars. Say something nice. Tell me how pretty I am. Something. Lie to me, please, because I don't want the truth. I just want your lies. What else? I think that's it. Oh, you can call us if you want, but nobody ever does. At 1-800, or is it? Yeah, 1-800-575-51-DRIVE. 1-575-51-DRIVE. No 800. 575-51-DRIVE. Google voicemail. This is what happens.
I'm completely confused now.
Yeah, don't be. Don't call us. You're not gonna call us anyway.
I'm gonna call right now.
So, for this week, thank you.
I'm calling.
Paul Guzik, thank you. Evan Fusco, thank you. Patrick Connor.
And thank you, Lee Moon, for commenting on our Facebook page on our Apple and Google are enemies story. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you to all of our Facebook fans. We're up to like 619. You guys
nice.
all rock.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Go to there. It's facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick wearing his Tony Schaefer mask this week. with I'm not even going there. So, download us next week and find out what drives us.
Nice dramatic reading.
Wow, very.
Mr. Drama.